Hello and thanks for joining us. Coming up on today's show, the first female filmmaker out of Saudi Arabia.
حركات. طيب وش رايك نزوجك؟
ما يضحك.
Wadjda, the story of a young girl in Riyadh who wants to buy a bicycle so she can race the boys, was the first movie ever to be filmed entirely in Saudi Arabia.
Who amongst you has ever wondered if the dead could return to life?
Is that really possible? Reanimation.
This groundbreaking director's second movie, Mary Shelley, stars Elle Fanning as the pioneering author of Frankenstein. Let's meet Haifaa al-Mansour.
You wish to be with someone else.
Haifaa, welcome to the show. It's a pleasure to have you.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
Your first film was set in modern-day Riyadh. You went from that to a 19th century English period piece.
Yeah.
On the surface, it looks like a dramatic shift, but how dramatic was it?
Yeah, it was a little dramatic, but when they sent me the script, I was surprised. I asked my agent, did I know I'm from Saudi Arabia? But when I read the script, it was amazing. It's a coming-of-age story about a young girl trying to find her voice. In England, when England was conservative 200 years ago, it is not as conservative as Saudi Arabia, for sure, but still women were expected to be in a certain way and act in a certain way. And Mary Shelley went on and wrote something original, arguably created science fiction, where Jane Austen was the star at the time, who wrote about love and jealousy, but all in the domestic sphere. And she's way more famous than Mary Shelley. So I felt like obligated to tell the story. It's somehow, it's important for us women to celebrate womanhood. I think it should transcend across countries and races and like places, and we should come together.
Well, let's take a look at the moment that Mary Shelley's stepsister reads Frankenstein for the very first time.
It chilled me to the bone.
It's good to enjoy a ghost story now and then.
We both know this is no ghost story. I've never read such a perfect encapsulation of what it feels to be abandoned. I seethed with your monster's rage. It lusted for his revenge. Because it was my own.
Haifaa, for Wadjda, you filmed in secret in Riyadh. It was quite risky. For Mary Shelley, you shot in Ireland, Luxembourg, and here in France. I mean, how did the two shoots compare?
The two shoots are, yeah, it's different for sure. And I was very grateful for the moment, like to be only involved with my art and just to be with the actors and to enjoy like being on set. It was a period film, so it is also taking me out of my comfort zone. And I was intimidating, taking on a British culture. And you know how like they have a heritage of making period films and all that. But for me, just like understanding and sympathizing with the character made me unlock it and feel, and I felt her journey. Coming from where I come from, I understood how it means to be creatively dismissed just because of your gender. So yeah, it was different, but still in a way, I think my background helped me unlock the script and give it, and acclaim it and to be my own. And I feel it is important for me as a director to do that.
Did you feel a sense of freedom, though, because there weren't people looking over your shoulder about what you were doing?
Absolutely. I enjoyed that moment. I enjoyed just being able to work with the actors and not to worry about being in a conservative neighborhood and being in the van in Saudi. It wasn't really shot in secret, but Saudi was segregated at the time, so I wasn't able to be in the streets with the DP and all the actors and all that. And Saudi Arabia changed a lot since then, so there is so much happened. I'm going back to Saudi in September to film another film called The Perfect Candidate. So I don't anticipate to be in the van. We'll report back once we finished filming, but it is there is an exciting change happening in Saudi Arabia where women are allowed to drive, and also like there's a film fund and there is a huge push for arts and having arts in the public sphere, and that is very important to enjoy music in the streets and to celebrate film and celebrate theater, and that should change a lot of the ideologies coming from the Middle East. Saudi Arabia sets the tone for the rest of the Muslim world and when they practice their religion and how to go about their school of thoughts. And I think there is more tolerance now and more push for tolerant ideas. So I think it's an exciting time.
And have you met women who are following in your footsteps, Saudi women, because you are the first Saudi female director?
Yeah, there are a lot of female filmmakers. Like there is a Hind Fahad who did, and Hannah Abdullah. They both conquered TV. They did TV series in Ramadan this year, which is amazing. Ramadan is in Saudi Arabia and in the Middle East is where the prime for TV. And it's amazing to see 2 episodes on TV filmed by women. And they did really well in comparison to the other men. Their episodes were really talked about and they touched people and they were very popular. So, yeah.
And how did you feel when you saw those images of Saudi women this week driving?
It was really fun. It's like Christmas. It's Eid, what we call Eid in Saudi Arabia, because I was on WhatsApp with my family and my sisters, going with their friends and driving and trying to register in driving school. It is really exciting, especially for young women, working professional young women. When I started working in Saudi Arabia, it was hard for me to hire a driver and pay a lot of my paycheck, just like maybe a third of my paycheck, just to be going back and forth from work. So there are so many steps that happen to empower women, but it is, but Saudi Arabia is still a very conservative place. There will be like, we still need to move forward.
Okay, well, your 2012 film Wadjda was the first feature film entirely shot in Saudi Arabia. Let's take a look.
وش عندك واقفة عنده؟ اشترت عائلة أبوك المبجلة. ما انت فيها، ما فيها إلا سامي رجال.
Now, Wadjda sort of showed us the hidden lives that we rarely see of women inside Saudi Arabia. Do you feel it's a bit of your mission to show the rest of the world that?
I think cinema is a medium to open societies and build bridges, cultural bridges between people. I think Saudi Arabia has been portrayed in the news so much. So if you want to understand politics about Saudi Arabia, you can turn it into any newspaper or any news channel and we'll get it. But to understand how people are in their homes and how they see the world, I think it is very important to see it through cinema. It is the same way I learned about Americans. I know. Now I'm married to an American, so I have more like first-hand knowledge of the society. But before I was a kid, I didn't know much about Colorado. Just like watching the films and the mountains and all that made me feel like I'm a part of a bigger world. So I think it is cinema's role, just like to make us all human beings come together and understand each other's experiences and hopefully relate to each other.
And the government recently lifted its ban on movie theatres, public movie theatres, and it showed Black Panther. That was the first film to be shown. What films would you like to be shown in Saudi Arabia?
I think Black Panther is a cool film to show because it is a film about diversity, and there is a lot of women who are really strong on that film. So it is it's a blockbuster film, but it has its cultural significance when it comes to the blockbuster world. But it is important also to show Saudi films and to promote. And I think Saudis would love to see themselves portrayed on the big screen. It is, and I think it is one thing is like cinema is a mirror for any culture, so it's important for Saudis to see themselves, to reflect on their experiences and move forward as a society. Cinema is supposed to elevate a culture, and hopefully arts is the heart of any society and any civilization and should lead people towards where they want to go.
Are there plans to show Mary Shelley there? And if it is shown there, will they have to sort of censor some of the love scenes?
Yeah, definitely they will censor a lot of the love scenes in Mary Shelley.
How do you feel about that? Do you feel like it's censorship?
Well, I feel that Saudi Arabia is very conservative, and we don't want to shock people and take them out of their comfort zone, especially like now you're introducing women driving, and you're introducing cinema, and you're introducing so much. And I think it's very important to do that. And it is such a powerful move, but also you need to be careful how people and the general public will not like to see a love scene in Saudi Arabia. That will be a little bit taking people out of their comfort zone, and you don't want to do that. And and it has been done even in places like Dubai, where they have a history of showing films. It's still being censored, and Egypt, for example. So it is, censorship is part of the society, but I feel it is very important to learn how to say things for filmmakers coming from the region, how to be able to maintain your voice and to tell stories that are meaningful and still touch people within those constraints. It's a task. It's not something that you will just like do, but it is an important exercise if we want to make the margin a little bit bigger. And that is the way to go about it. You cannot just shock people and be militant and fight with them. They shun, they will refuse films, and that is not a place you want to be.
And you're living now in Los Angeles, which is the centre of a female revolution, thanks to Me Too and Time's Up. What's that like as a filmmaker? It's amazing to be in LA. I really enjoy being there. It is such a competitive place. You have to resell yourself all the time. But it is wonderful. And it is, I grew up as an artist there. Amy Bear, it's an American producer, and Mary Shelley, who found me and sent me the script. And I just finished a film for Netflix. So as an artist, I find myself really growing in Hollywood. And I think it is amazing time for women in the industry, where there is a push, and it is like almost like a feminist reawakening, giving women more opportunities, and also creating that space that is safe for women to work. For so long, women, like with the Me Too movement, harassment was a big part of the industry, and now the industry has been redefined. So it's important. It's good. Okay, Haifaa, it's been a delight to have you. Good luck with your future projects. No, thank you so much. Thank you for having me. And we're going to leave you with Haifaa al-Mansour's Mary Shelley, which is out in France in August. Remember our website. We're also on Twitter and Facebook. There's more news coming up on France 24 after this.
The sunlight clasps the earth, and the moonbeams kiss the sea. What are all these kissings worth, if thou kiss not me?
Hi, I'm Natalie Savarikas, and you'll usually find me in news, reporting on Greece's enduring financial turmoil and protests, but also the refugee emergency, here on France 24.
Natalie Savarikas, one of the 160 France 24 correspondents around the world. Revisited, presented by Stuart Norval.
The election of Adama Barrow in 2016 filled Gambians with hope. After 22 years of autocratic rule, Yahya Jammeh was beaten in the elections. His expulsion from the country drew a curtain on a past stained by imprisonment, murder and corruption. But will the new Gambia, promised by the president, live up to expectations?
Revisited on France 24 and France24.com.